Alright, so far I believe that's the hardest thing I ever have taken on a blackboard. It's really difficult. And here's a video to kind of start us off. I gave it 12 priority points, which is huge because the video itself is ridiculously good. And we have it right here. Just type in social pressure on YouTube. You get this video, which only has 35,000 views. Deserves way more. So anyways, I will wait until you watch the video, then come back and I will try to explain what's going on and getting in more details. So a group of people claim that the answer to the problem is number A, or letter A. God damn it. It's letters. And the test subject has to choose whether he's gonna express the truth or he's gonna follow the group. The thing behind the choosing the truth, which might seem like the right choice, but do you remember how hard it is to go against the social pressure? And that is what we're going to be discussing today. When do you have to confront and when do you have to comply with the social pressure? The answer lies in a simple principle. You trust the authority first, but after you have done enough research, you will inevitably find flaws within the authority. Let's say as a programmer, I'm a little bit more focused in programming, do a little bit more research within the gaming, and I find a lot of flaws within that. But in general, I find just a lot of flaws. And do I have authority to express my concerns? Well, it is gonna go against everything else. So if a group of people says the answer is A and you're gonna question that, you're gonna say the answer is C, well, you are going to go against the whole group. You're gonna say, well, you all are wrong, and you're gonna be confronting that group, whether the group cares enough and is going to, make a discussion, but you are going to be in the center of attention. That requires immense amount of energy to sustain and to not make a fool of yourself. So that's why we usually avoid it. Another thing is what makes it a lot easier to fight against social pressure if it's just one person claims the authority over the answer, basically giving you the option to trust in that person, which is giving the answer that you normally would say was logical to you, and then you can just trust that person and give your vote or whatever you think your voice is worth of. You're gonna support that person. Again, you see this social group structuring already just from asking a single problem within a group where they kind of separate themselves from each other, and for different reasons, and this happens all the time. And how do you deal with that? Again, you have to trust the authority most of the times, unless you actually know what you are getting into. So the problem that we have today is that the authority is not being questioned. Okay? If people would feel free to question, to say, well, I thought it was the answer C, why everyone is like saying A? The question is something that goes against the social pressure. But because we are punished for actually asking the question of the authority, um, and trying to claim it, by asking a question, we actually claim that we might be smarter than the established uh, authority that holds the truth. We claim that we are smarter, right? And that gets us into quite a trouble, right? And if the authority doesn't want competition, well, don't question it. Don't create an authority of yourself, and we'll be all good, of course. So that is the biggest problem in our society, that we cannot create ourselves as authority. Yes, we can get in ranks, we can get a management of certain sectors, get government jobs and whatever. But that creates a pyramid structure where there is still an authority that will, maintain its power. That 1% that will hold everything. So that is a huge problem that we have to deal with. And once transition happens, everyone is going to be a lot more free, a lot more powerful, be kind of like kings, and that is what inspired this whole thing. The next part that I will be talking about, chess and king, and how the chess has all these metaphors in it. But now let's see what kind of emotional response you get from the social pressure, and where does it come from, how can it be used. And first you have to understand that once you find this contradiction, or not even find, everything is just basically, every single action that you take, every single choice is fueled by ideas, right? If you have an idea that this is what you're being asked for, and you know how to answer it, well, you figure out that the answer is C, right? But otherwise, if other people have a different idea, then suddenly you have to confront that idea. It's a lot harder, but the fact remains that everything is fueled by ideas. Every single action comes from a certain idea, and the emotional response usually is a stupid one. If you get an emotional response and you actually express that response, it is likely to be the stupidest thing, right? The stupidest expression of the idea is the quickest one. So where does it happen? Well, we have something like flat earth, which is a combination of, with just a combination of two words, we can achieve a huge negative response from certain people, because they believe in the authority so much, because the authority is huge. If something like NASA, or if flat earth would be exposed, something like NASA has output immense amount of lies, would fall down very quickly. And the amount of lies and the amount of people that believe in the lies, that is what accounts for how hard it is to convert into the truth. The next emotional response, and the most common one, would be in the internet. We get things like trolls that say, "Oh, you're stupid," right? They don't give you any explanation, but they just say that you're stupid. They claim that their authority, they can claim that you're fucking stupid. But you're still gonna get this emotional response, because why do they have a voice in the first place? And you have to be... So, that is the problem in the internet. In the old times, we would have kings behead people who would insult them or seemingly waste their time, because that's what it is all about. king is a very sensitive being who cares about his kingdom, and if someone wastes his time, someone has says some bullshit that he sees like it's it is wasting his time, it is not important, and if someone is willingly wasting king's time, which is very important, at least to him, it again depends on how corrupt he is, but he gets beheaded because that's like the best way to silence someone. Now, the thing is, again, the internet doesn't really have rules to silence someone or either to promote someone who actually does something great. So that doesn't happen. It's something that we will have to evolve into at some point. It's not like a more popular person is better. It is in some ways because he's constantly outputting useful content for certain people, but that useful content is also can be biased if the whole humanity is kind of broken up in various ways and don't have the authority, then they kind of gonna try to find it in other videos or on the internet. It's complicated. But again, I can say for sure that the most popular is probably not the best. But it's valuable. I will discuss a lot of popular things, a lot of popular contents that has popped out, and they hold a lot of value as well. You can't deny that. So the better way to respond to a stupid idea or to an emotion that makes you want to create a stupid response to an idea, you can block that. Okay, you can have a principle that blocks something you don't really know too much about. Let's say if you haven't researched 30 hours of flat earth, you might not want to make a stupid comment about this, right? You want to think, you want to research a little bit more, you want to dive into more things, get more experienced, and block the idea from coming out. Maybe not entirely, but you can still, and should, if able, you should block it. If you're not even able to block it, or you're not even able to express it, you can also ask yourself, should you ignore that idea entirely? But that kind of gets rid of any value that idea has, because even if you make something stupid, well, it will still draw attention in some way. So it's still gonna be useful, depending on how much authority you have. Otherwise, if you don't have authority, then shut the fuck up. Okay, you're not gonna make any impact. So what's the point? Of course, I shouldn't say shut the fuck up. The system itself should actually punish the person who is doing stupid things. Now, the third part is you can get stuck in the second part. You can overanalyze idea. The purpose of that is kind of evolving yourself a little bit more, because once you analyze idea, you can reform your own ideas and basically reform the way you behave and interact and make certain agreements with other people and all that stuff. It's just basically a creation of patterns of how you behave in life, which is why you have to understand social pressure and why you have to watch the video in its entirety, and then stop, kind of block this idea a little bit and think about in this calm state. Just purely think about what you just saw and how important it is. And the further you go, you will see that you need to express that idea to other people, because other people don't know how to behave according to that. Other people don't know the truth, so you have to kind of convince them. And what you do, you create things. You create things people want to hear, people want to experience, and you slowly make them believe and trust you and what you have to offer, right? You slowly give them the truths that they obviously know, and then introduce to something they kind of have to agree because of what they currently know. Moving on, I have this cool metaphor about chess, where I was trying to understand. I always had this question in my head, why king is such a weak piece in chess and queen is so much more powerful. But I would put it this way, that the king is actually managing every single piece in the game. And because he's that busy, he barely has enough time or enough value to put on himself as a piece. So what he does, he just makes just enough value so he could get away from upcoming danger. So if someone is gonna strike this way, he's gonna move on onto the next square, and he can avoid the danger. While the queen, seemingly overpowered, you have to understand that the queen doesn't have any responsibilities trying to, control every single piece in the game. And also she has all the resources, she's closest to the king, and has all the information, and also has passion to protect the king as well, which is the purpose of the game. So all of this makes up to an overpowered piece, obviously. And what is another fascinating thing are the pawns. The pawns that cannot go back until they get a promotion. And what does the promotion means? Well, you can make it a metaphor of getting into another kingdom, which is a very powerful thing, because someone has actually broke through. Someone's able to steal the value that another kingdom has. Someone is actually able to be smarter or outsmart the other kingdom, steal their resources, and use those resources against them, which makes the promotion probably the most effective way to win if you're able to get there. So you shouldn't underestimate your pawns. I mean, absolutely not. This is the best thing you can do, is actually use tools that your opponent has against your opponent. That is the best way to win. And this is what you can learn about chess. It's pretty amazing. And I would actually go a little further. And I was talking about how I view myself, what is my purpose in life, and I kind of view myself as a king piece, kind of this leader that learns about everything, tries to establish a kingdom, tries to establish a base where people can get the resources from. If they make mistakes, if they fall back and they cannot continue their work, maybe it's good to revisit the basics and get yet more momentum to get to your goal. If your armor gets rusty, let's replace that armor. There has to be some kind of authority that you could trust, somewhere that you could get those resources from, and then get to your destination where you're going. Most of the people try to do that. Well, I chose to become a leader at some point, and at some point everyone should become a leader. And I'm not sure how it's gonna work exactly. Maybe not everyone will have to be a leader, but that is for a future topic. I certainly know that there can be one leader, and there can be people who are actually claiming the land, who don't really have to engage with the ruling of the whole base idea. That has to manage, someone has to manage the base. And what happens, I have to learn about everything, so I could help every single person, whoever goes this direction or this direction. I could show them how to start off. Okay, I want to go to this land and claim that, so I can help them start off, but then the rest of the journey is up to them. And so there's this mutual trust where they first have to trust me, and then I trust them to claim the land and expand the kingdom. A similar fashion you would find monks to live by, a kind of lifestyle that's grounded to ground zero, to just basics of life. And you find them being isolated, not within the certain groups of people. Well, they are between the monks themselves, but they try to isolate themselves and only allow other people who kind of have similar beliefs to get closer, but otherwise they kind of have to be in total isolation, just like pretty much how my lifestyle is. I isolate myself so I could be more creative. I wouldn't have to confront all these groups of people, so I could just slowly kind of claim the land until I get more and more people into what I am doing, right? That is the whole purpose of just growing a fan base and all that. It's like war next level type of thing. Is competition, well, it's still a war of ideas, so you still have to view it as war never changes. Anyways, so we have these monks that, well, isolate themselves, and this is similar, and that's similar to the way I view my purpose. If anyone comes into my life, I really care about them, but I really don't want people who are, negative. I really have to isolate myself from these people who can actually harm me, because it's very dangerous. I take things very seriously, and anyone who has a voice, and basically everyone has a voice, because I'm super sensitive. I care about everything, right? I have this circle where I try to learn as many things as possible, but at the same point I have to be sensitive to any kind of information. I have to be open-minded about everything. When someone says stupid to me, well, okay, I'm gonna listen to your arguments now, but usually they just get away, and then I kind of successfully isolate myself. And this is how I identify myself. I call myself as a guru, and because guru is taken, well, I added a next to that name. So I hope this is kind of like a great introduction to social pressure, which is just a small tiny bit of what it's gonna take for us to just start questioning the authority. That's all we need to do. But it's not that easy. I mean, there are things like social pressure, and that keeps us from questioning the authority, which once done, once people claim the truth, once people do the fight, it's just such a hard time. But war never changes, so let's take our armor, let's take our resources and go fight for the truth, because truth always wins, and truth always makes the world a better place. See you guys next time.